It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning. Good morning. Scooch up. A lot to get to, but I hope your Monday is starting off good, starting off right. Yep. What's up, y'all? Good morning. Oh, I got a lot going on. I got like YouTube playing over here, but yeah, good morning everyone. Happy Monday. Let's hop into it. I'm gonna hop into it. It's been an eventful weekend. Hopefully you got rest. I had a restorative, restful weekend, because being black is hard. Being black in Charleston is hard. And last week was so much of a roller coaster. I just want to say again, thank you to my guest, Jazz Johnson, someone who I've worked with in the past, someone who I look to, who I see making her way, continue to make her way, continue to do what she's been doing. She is a leader. She is a real and cogent voice in South Carolina, and so I'm super appreciative to her and her perspective. I look forward to talking to more folks on the ground like Jazz. But also I want to say thank you to everybody who's been tuning in, who's been amplifying this show, who's been sending me kind text messages, encouraging me to continue to make this content. It really does keep me going, especially my friend Brittany down in Georgia. Brittany, I'm on my way. Brittany Mathis. I'm on my way, Brittany. Girl. Shot girl summer. Got my vaccination, got my second dose. So it's about to be a shot girl summer for real. But yeah, just thank you to everyone who's been watching the content. I really do hope, for real, I really do hope as I transition, like I was thinking about my evolution since I guess I got politically activated, returning home to Charleston after high school. I thought about my journey and how like I came and started as a content creator, then became, was reactivated as an organizer, was an organizer in undergrad and stuff like that, worked in politics in New Jersey, and all that. But yeah, how I came and was an organizer, was a lot of things on the ground, facilitator on the ground, all of that. And now how I really do hope that whatever it is that this microphone will be used for, I really do hope that it is for, I really do hope it helps add context. Yeah, I really do hope it adds context. I hope it helps movements. Hope whatever I provide helps movements. Build helps to build movements. So yeah, anyway, just thinking about that. Let me hop over here. Let's get it started. All right, 7:35. Let me start cracking the whip again. And yo, if you here and you saying, if you watching on the PC, if you're not, on a treadmill, if you're not on one of those treacherous Pelotons that's getting called out by the media, drop something in the chat. Say good morning. Say what's up. Let's. I'm gonna bring the spirit of Ms. Fudge into this space. So good morning, and I expect to see a good morning back. All right, starting off with Charleston weather, locally sourced weather from Charleston Weather, and I believe it's founder and creator Jared Smith. 63 degrees. It's gonna be a beautiful day today, y'all. I think tomorrow's gonna be the day that we see rain. Let's see if Jared has yeah, he do. So here's your 7-day. Thank you, Captain Glitter. I fixed it. Captain Glitter, I fixed the thing. Thank you so much for showing me what was coming through. It was a whole other, so I fixed it, the notification. Good looking out. Good morning, Justin. Hey, D Bartlett. Good morning, Bailey. Thank you. Thank you, Captain Glitter. Keep me honest. All right, this is the forecast for the 7 days. So yeah, today gonna be splendid. I don't know how my boss gonna I don't know. I'm gonna be distracted. If I didn't have the world's largest laptop, I'd take this bad boy somewhere and work somewhere remotely outside. But this thing don't hold no type of battery. Never did. Never did, even when it was new. It's such a huge ass PC. But this is your forecast today. Y'all go out and enjoy it. Go out and enjoy it. Let me look at that humidity. 90% humidity. So, all right, use your hyaluronic acid. I'm telling you, start now. You in your 20s, men and women, and you know, everybody. Use your hyaluronic acid and your glycerin. Right, take advantage of that humidity in the air. Plump that skin. All right, let me stop being silly. Here we go. Post and Courier today. All right, got a lot to get to with the Post and Courier. Okay, especially a follow up. I reached out to the Post and Courier for some clarity on what we're gonna talk about today. As you saw with the teaser, I'm having a spicy conversation about SLED today, so we're gonna get into it. It's long and lengthy. Ooh, pause. All right, there aren't clear mandates on how to weigh evidence. Right? I don't know what this is about. This USC is stumbling and handling sexual assault cases. I didn't peruse this first. I opened the tab. All right, so we got a USC sexual assault story that we need to be tracking. Let me see who did the reporting on this. Jessica Holdman, okay. I don't read a lot of Jessica, but we gonna hop into that. So we're going to hop into that for real. All right. Other morning highlights down here. South Carolina surpasses 500,000 confirmed coronavirus cases. All right. Here we go. North Charleston booms with new apartments. McMaster declares war on Democratic policies during Charleston County GOP convention. Shout out to, is it Michael? Shout out to Michael who sent me that nice little cute pic. Let me see. Yo, I have a Microsoft PC. I got a PC that's run on Microsoft Windows. Tell me why like they did an update and like everything routes to Bing now. So hold on, let me see if I can go to my go-tos because no one wants to use Bing, Bill Gates. I'm gonna go in my DMs. Y'all gonna see too much of my business. Oops, right here. Y'all gonna see too much of my business. Hopefully nobody sent me nothing lewd. Let me see. Boom. Yeah. No. Maybe it was in my Twitter DMs. The South Carolina GOP is a hot mess. I think Linwood made an appearance. We know how kooky that is, right? Ooh, y'all gonna see all my DMs. Okay, here we go. Here. Okay, I was real quick with it. All right, so shout out to Michael for sending me this. I've blocked JT, Bear Spray Messenger. I blocked this fool. So basically, you see two insurrectionists and a white supremacist, white nationalist sympathizer, Maurice Washington. He is a sellout. He is not a friend of the people. I thought that Maurice would be a conservative voice that you could speak to. He is worse than Tim Scott. He is willing to do the work of white supremacists. Literally, I'm not being hyperbolic. And this picture right here demonstrates a lot. So we have KKK Corey here and Bear Spray Messenger here, both insurrectionists. Both this person has been cited for or arrested for breaking and entering and stealing people's property. This person has been known to plan and plot white nationalist activities or whatever throughout the state. He was sued into oblivion, I thought, for using a black child as a prop in a very disgusting and heinous display to prove that there were black sympathizers or black people who were sympathetic to the Confederacy or the false cause narrative and all that. Maurice Washington also wrote an op-ed or wrote an opinion piece that was published in the Post and Courier in support of Harry Griffin. When I spoke to Maurice, I reached out to him directly because he had come out to Friends of Gadsden Creek initiatives, being that he was born in Back to Green. He's from that community over there. We reached out to him and he had a lot of interesting things to say. He gave us some insights. I didn't know until after that he was trying to use that issue as the wedge issue to run for mayor. And so he wanted to just find a way to attack Mayor Tecklenburg. I didn't know I knew he was conservative and he wanted to run for mayor, but I didn't know that he would use an environmental racism issue as a wedge issue, and he did, right? So these three sickos are just scum. If you see Maurice Washington, don't be fooled by the bow tie and the great oration or the dictation, and don't by the poise. Don't be fooled by the polish and poise of a Maurice Washington. Know who these people are. Don't be fooled by this person who's reinvented themselves as a former breaking and enter expert, insurrectionist, and now whatever he is, right? Content creator for the right. And don't be fooled that thinking that a member of the LGBTQ community cannot be a bigot. You can be black, as Maurice has demonstrated. You can be a black person and hold white nationalist views, right? So don't let someone's identity kind of make you like short circuit and think, well, he can't be that bad just because you are a member of a marginalized community doesn't mean that you can't cause harm. And so that's important to Maurice was trying to scam money from was that true? I need receipts. Yeah, he did run for mayor. I'm looking at the thing now. I don't know. I got to do my dirt, but I would love not do my dirt. Excuse me, do my due diligence and find some receipts. But yeah, Maurice is creepy. I didn't even tell you. So when I called Maurice about his piece in the paper in defense of Harry Griffin, it ended with. Let me see. I'm not gonna show y'all, but I'm gonna just see if my memory serves me right. Cancel. I don't even think I saved the number on my phone. I mean, I had it. I have it. I don't save anyone's number practically. Hold on. Let me see. Let's see if we can get it. He called me back. And, oh no. He sent me like all these rose emojis. Like rose and heart emojis and shit. It was so nasty. Like for an older gentleman to do that shit. Ugh. It was nasty. Anyway, it was gross. It was gross because I actually spoke to him about something very, very serious, which was the Harry Griffin article and why would a black man come out and why would he leverage his any type of credibility he had? Why would he leverage that at that time? Like why would he even like risk it? I don't think leverage is the word. Why would he risk that, right? For a Harry Griffin who's a political failure, who's largely a political failure. But again, Maurice's goals are to strengthen the GOP, so they need as many Trumpian GOP voices as possible, right? So understand that every politician, when they make a public move, it is part of a larger plan, right? I don't know what the plan is to align yourself with someone who may or may not. They say Tyler likes to brag and say, well, the FBI already called me. They both are liars, so we don't know if the FBI actually reached out to them yet. They want to be insurrectionists, but they're failed at everything. Right, Tyler's best known for getting his flag snatched by Moya, rest in peace. But anyway, I don't know what the strategy is to be seen with and sidled up to two known insurrectionists, and one of them is a criminal who brought the Proud Boys to Somerville to terrorize local businesses. I don't know what. It's an interesting calculation, I mean I've done the math and don't look too good. All right, so I queued that up. I queued this up because Whitey's on Mars. Yeah, we shout out to the NASA folks. We see the helicopter. I think it is great that for science that we're on Mars, but I can't help but think about the inequities here on Earth. So that's why I have the Gil Scott Heron queued up. All right, this is the front page of today's Post and Courier. Yep, this is the front page. Students love her at 92. North Charleston's Layla, is it Fayo or Fayo? Finds joy through work with area children. This is the piece written by a staffer with the Post and Courier I'm unfamiliar with, Libby Stanford. Surprised Adam Parker didn't write it. Then we have some interesting news about the parks. A new parks director for the area. South Carolina Library collecting photos of soldiers. Aims to memorialize World War II fighters buried in the Netherlands. And here, juvenile justice system gets help. Now, this is a story I'm definitely going to be gonna click on it, but I'm gonna transition really quickly. So but this will be like a good segue. So let me see if we can get this. Boom. All right, so this is written by Fleming Smith. Shout out to Fleming Smith. I reached out to Fleming Smith last week after I saw her follow-up reporting on and in the Post and Courier, her follow-up to Gregory Yee's reporting regarding Jason Cooper's shooting. Now we know back in December 29th of the year 2000, the end of last year, we know that Jason Cooper was shot. It was cops were responding to a domestic violence call. Cops allegedly say that Jason Cooper engaged them in gunfire from the second floor, according to Gregory Yee's reporting. And then, of course, that somehow the gun battle continued because Jason Cooper was killed. He was shot in the head and in the thigh. And from what I understand, Jason Cooper was outside when he was shot fatally by the police. And so I reached out to Fleming. So Fleming also is on the justice beat, or the law enforcement beat. So this story, juvenile justice system gets help. Director of South Carolina agency hopes partnership with national group will change the culture. We also know that now this is like a statewide focus, but we know that North Charleston under Al Cannon, the juvenile justice system was in need of a major overhaul, right? We know that Sheriff Kristen Graziano made this a signature issue that she ran upon in terms of repairing at least the part of the juvenile justice system that that was under her purview. So we know that there's a lot going on there. There were a lot of people blowing the whistle on not just the system itself, but the conditions at some of these facilities. So I do encourage you to use your library card. To go ahead and read this story, follow up on this story. And if you got a chance, use your library card and continue to read Fleming Smith's coverage of law enforcement issues. So I want to get back into that conversation with Fleming in a second. But I found her to be, I think her reporting is pretty sound. So I encourage you to read it, as is Gregory Yee's reporting. All right, I'm going to close that out and get to what I wanted to talk about. And we're going to hop into some videos, because this ain't fun unless I'm playing some videos. And it's just like too Mika, too talky, right? All right, so what I want to talk about is the FOIA police cameras in a new frontier. This is the name of this article. This was in, this is the South Carolina Press Association, okay? So this was published in 2017. And there are some really interesting, let me see. There's some really interesting tidbits in here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but my conversation. So I reached out to Fleming, and I said, "Hey, Fleming, I wanted to know more about the Jason Cooper shooting, and I wanted to know when we would get access. When would the public get access to the body cam footage and the dash cam footage from the police cars that responded? Because both Fleming." I believe in Fleming's, but I know for a fact Gregory Yee's reporting. Gregory Yee said, and he responded to me on Twitter, Gregory Yee mentioned that he did put in a FOIA request to receive access to both the body cam and the dash cam footage. Well, Fleming put me on, and she was like, well, you probably not going to see that body cam footage. And I was like, how so, right? So, and so we started having a conversation, but then I found this later, like hours later, literally found this hours later. I'm going to read this. Here in South Carolina, a debate going on over disclosure of another sort of government record, video footage shot by law enforcement. Police records are generally accessible to the public under the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, unless it would disclose the identities of informants, release information in pending investigation, disclose confidential investigatory, semicolon, endanger the life, comma, health or property of any person, or disclose the contents of an intercepted wire, oral or electronic communications. There's also a general exception in the Freedom of Information Act allowing government agencies to withhold information of a personal nature where the public disclosure thereof will constitute as an unreasonable invasion of personal privacy. All right. And then here, okay, so since these provisions did not specifically provide exemption for video recorded by law enforcement officers, such video would presumably be accessible, you would think, right? But in 2015, see how this is the shell game, right? Y'all know what a shell game is, right? You know, you got to keep your eye on the ball or whatever it is, right? So, but in 2015, Governor Haley signed a law specifically exempting police body camera footage from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. So Nikki Haley, this is what they did. Remember what it's just like after Reconstruction, right? They allowed us to have some black representation in office, but what did they do? They stripped the governorship of South Carolina of power, because if a black man got in office, they didn't want him to have power, right? So it's like Reconstruction. It's like the end of Reconstruction or end of slavery and the ushering in of Jim Crow and black codes, right? And convict leasing and all that other shit. And the 13th Amendment and all that other chicanery, right? It's like when they took down the Confederate flag, right? They lowered the Confederate flag. What do they do? The Heritage Act pops up, and it's almost ironclad, right? So for every action is an equal and opposite reaction here in a regressive state like South Carolina, especially under GOP rule. So while this was being touted as a great accomplishment, right? Yeah, Haley is the gift that keeps on giving, for real, Evelyn. So this was lauded as a big accomplishment, right? And I always, not always, but I think I definitely, after this was signed and it got so much like bipartisan support and stuff, and it was such a big ceremony, I know that I was like, something's up. I know intuitively I thought that. I didn't know that this provision was in place until literally this weekend, right? And so now we know why. So according to Fleming, in my conversation with her yesterday, Fleming was saying, well, there was a lot of pushback she intimated there was a lot of pushback from law enforcement. So to get this bill to pass, a lot of, I believe, the Democrats that wanted to get this bill to pass, they had to make a concession, which is, well, you don't have to make the body cam footage. You don't have to release that. That's not subject to a FOIA request, which is wild. And it's not like a cut and dry, black or white, like I'm mad at the Dems for not. This is the bullshit that we have to endure until we get more balanced representation, until we get more balanced in the state house, right? Until we get more balance of power in the state house. This is the things that we have to endure. But Fleming told me dash cam footage, they can drag their feet, from what she intimated. They can drag their feet with dash cam footage in the car, but they have to release that. So I'm sure cops know how to strategically park their cars. Something's telling me something's up in this state. But what I want to do too, I want to acknowledge Tressica. I want to acknowledge Katie Norris, especially Katie. Shout out to Katie, Nardcat on IG. Katie, after I posted about the Jason Cooper and how they shipped this Jason Cooper shooting to SLED, they shipped the Jamal Sutherland investigation to SLED. Katie reached out to me and started me on my journey about the reporting about SLED and how all of this law, this specific provision, how all of this stuff makes it hard for us to get justice, right? In a day where we might see the results, or we're gonna, the Derek Chauvin trial is coming to an end, right? On a day like today, I'm gonna refresh these tabs. It's important for us to have this conversation about how do we pursue justice? How do we hold the police accountable? And how do we do that without them releasing what should be public information? And I do believe that organizers, it's a hard fight, but I think organizers really need to galvanize around this issue and make this a central component of their organizing efforts, if that makes any sense, right? Hey, and if y'all went out to the protest yesterday, let me know. I didn't go out to it. So this is some follow-up. Again, this is from last year, May of last year. This is Fleming Smith. All right, so despite celebrated 2015, and she mentioned a lot of things she mentioned in this article, she reiterated to me. So despite celebrated 2015 law, body cameras for South Carolina law enforcement lack state funding. So this is the other thing she put me on to. This wasn't even funded. So they signed this into law after Walter Scott was shot, right? This is This is how they, okay? This is the, hey, we're going to get you justice, y'all. We're going to get you justice. We're going to get you justice. I believe that's Walter Scott's late mother right here. So this was a big production. They came down to North Charleston. You see Bamberg here. I forgot his name right here. These are members of the Black Caucus. Wendell Gilliard here, Nikki Haley here. I believe some Walter Scott family members here, some other elected officials. You got Nelson Rivers, Reverend Nelson Rivers here in the back. So this was a veritable who's who here. Of local officials, glad handing and thanking Nikki Haley. And it's so funny how this was like a stab in the back, right? And if it wasn't for Faden Santana, think about it, y'all. So the dash cam we got the dash cam footage from the Walter Scott shooting is within 4 days of the incident, right? But without Faden Santana's video, right? God knows what we would have, if they would have, I don't even know the timeline between when Faden Santana's footage came out, because we know that Slager lied in his reporting and tried to plant evidence on Scott, right? Plant something near Scott's body, right? So, and we know he lied in the actual written report. I don't know the timeline. If y'all know the timeline between when the incident occurred and was reported and when Faden Santana's video went viral, y'all let me know. All right. But so yeah, again, use your library card. Read this story. This was from May of last year. This body cam program, not even funny. And this is what they do, right? This is how they kind of give us this patina of not patina, but this facade. It's a facade of justice, and we have to press for more. This is why you won't be able to get everything. That's undeniable. You won't be able to get everything you fight for, but you gotta fight for the things that matter. And I'm not saying that the lawmakers didn't fight tooth and nail. It's hard here. It's a regressive state. It's under very, very strong GOP control. But it's important that you fight so that things like this, these little loopholes, don't come back and bite us in the ass later on when we try to seek justice, right? So let me see. So there was, again, shout out to Katie Norris, who, Katie, I forgot which articles you sent me because I just queued them all. I queued up yours and a couple other that I found, but I wanted to go back to some older reporting, right? So this is the Joshua Ruffin case, right? And the cop here, the Columbia PD officer here, did not face charges. This story was reported in June of last year, June 3rd of last year, right? Updated in August. Okay, so let's watch this real quick, if we can. Let's see if it's muted. Yeah, I gotta mute it. You know they love ads. Hold on one second. What is this? They love law firm ads. Jesus. All right, here we go.
Byron Gibson making that announcement today that no charges will be filed against the Columbia police officer who shot and killed 17-year-old Joshua Ruffin back in April of this year. That announcement coming from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office today after what they call a thorough review of SLED.
Sound familiar? Sound like Scarlett Wilson? Sound familiar? Jason Cooper?
Investigation. Officials say that the 17-year-old was shot and killed after a brief foot chase in the Eau Claire neighborhood of Columbia.
If you know Eau Claire, you know its historic roots. Eau Claire is a challenged neighborhood, not unlike parts of Charleston. Yeah, so do your Googles, reach out to people on the ground regarding Eau Claire.
At the time, Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook said the officer was patrolling that area in direct response to a report of car break-ins. We have live team coverage tonight to bring you the latest on this investigation. We start with our Caroline.
So I'm not gonna go in, but again, this was one of the stories that popped up in my research about Columbia statewide stories from the upstate to the Midlands to down here in the Low Country. Stories where cops officer involved shootings or extrajudicial killings of black people by cops that don't face any. Now that was body cam footage, like a foot chase, right? But there was an aspect. Here it is, right here. This story. I think this is it right here. This was the other part of it, right? So all I want to know is why. Mother of Joshua Ruffin speaks after SLED concludes investigation.
Hey y'all, I'm George Fisher, the owner of Strobe.
Oh boy. All right, let me close this out. I hate these. This is why I use YouTube. because it's just the ads are just ridiculous. There's another story. Let me see. There's another story I'm going to play too, involving a white family here, right? 3 upstate newspapers sued SLED over dash cam video, right? So that's in the upstate. All right. Let's see. And then there is a Washington Post story. Shout out to Tressica for one Washington Post story. And Tressica, I found another one. I think I found another one. Here we go.
In Minneapolis, meanwhile, back here at home, protesters have been gathering since over the weekend for days with a message of wanting justice, transparency, and accountability.
Now, this is it feels like deja vu, right? Because even this week we've had protests centering the injustices around the Daunte Wright killing, extrajudicial murder. We've had protests, of course, rallying for justice for George Floyd during the Derek Chauvin trial. So it sounds so like I got confused legitimately this weekend because the footage from last summer and the footage from now, late spring, is so eerily similar, and we're still entrenched in this fight. So sometimes I just backed out to make sure this wasn't something else. So this story was reported last year, June 3rd, 2020. Let it play.
As well from law enforcement here locally. Today, they have been chanting justice for Josh. Josh, they're referring to Joshua Ruffin. He is the 17-year-old who was shot and killed by a Columbia police officer after a brief foot chase. This was back in early April. Nearly 2 months ago, CPD says that officers were patrolling that area in response to a report of car break-ins. That's when they say an officer approached Ruffin and the 17-year-old ran. Officials say an officer shot Ruffin, this is in the Eau Claire neighborhood, after that foot chase lasted less than 30 seconds. The officer says Ruffin pulled a gun, causing the officer to open fire. Here is what Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook said at the time.
The officer did have on his body-worn camera, and that video has been captured. It's being reviewed and preserved by investigators. We ask for your patience.
So, patience and transparency.
As we complete this investigative process and have confidence in our track record for transparency.
I told you, transparency. It's like they just say it. It's like it's involuntary. They say transparency, but they don't show it. So from what I understand, the body cam footage was never released. Right? Okay. So that's why I brought up that story. I'm going to close that out. All right. Here's a story. Oh my God, the ads. This is crazy. This is the story I want to get to. Okay. So this story right here, I'm going to see if I can blow this up. This is another story. I'm trying to get through these kind of fast, guys, because there's so much, and I don't know. So this story, I think this is the one that Katie sent me. She sent me one from the Greenville News. South Carolina judge cracks down on public access to police body camera footage in Greenville, right? So this story was written in June of 2019, right? Okay. So it says circuit judges in Greenville County are taking hard measures to stop law enforcement body camera footage, often vital proof of what happened during controversial officer-involved shootings and other interactions with local residents, from reaching the eyes of the public. An administrative order signed last month by the circuit court judge in Greenville County states that defense attorneys have a right to receive copies of body-worn camera footage as it pertains to a case. But we got to get Stephen Bowden back on here. To talk about this, right? An administrative, remember how Stephen talked about this, about what he's seen as a public defender, right? As an administrative order signed last month, I'm just going to read it again. As an administrative order signed last month by the circuit court judges in Greenville County states that defense attorneys have a right to receive copies of body-worn camera footage as it pertains to a case, but that footage cannot be shared with the public. If an attorney is found to be in violation of the order, they will be subject to sanctions, including being found in contempt. The order states. Okay, so this is crazy. So basically making it illegal for folks to release that to the public. This is egregious. Captain Glitter says, disgusting. I pulled down one of my journals from 2014 and where Michael Brown was killed. Okay, What has changed? Yep. Shady Amoeba. Daily reminder that Walter Scott's killer will be walking free today if there wasn't footage. Absolutely. Evelyn, you said the language cracks down on, right? Yeah. I'm talking about crime. Yes. It's crazy. You're going to crack down on crime, right? But you cracking down on the people getting access to information, right? All right. So that's one story. Again, that's from 2019. Right. All right. So this is another story here. The upstate newspaper sues SLED over dash cam video. So now, like I told you, or Fleming made a distinction for me, dash cam footage is usually accessible. At some point, they have to release it. This family and their lawyers actually had to sue SLED to get dash cam footage. Let's play this story with this ad, I'm sure.
Silver Airways has arrived at
Okay. As that ad plays, we're going to look at some thumbnails real quick. So opinion, is South Carolina's Police Oversight Department, SLED, really all that independent, right? So this story, get out of there. This story is written by Radley Balco. He did a 5-part SLED series. I think, Jessica, you sent me part of this. This was 2018. We're going to hop into that. Is it still going? Jesus. All right, so we're going to hop into that. I'm telling you, like, the reporting on South Carolina SLED, it's mind-boggling. It's got national attention.
More on that in a moment, but first, several lawsuits now pending against the South Carolina law enforcement.
Let me give you a date stamp on this.
Division. It's over evidence in the shooting.
This is from October 13th of 2015. This is when it was updated last. This is 2015.
Shooting death of an upstate teen by a police officer.
The latest to file a suit, the Greenville News. WYFF News 4's Liz Loheis is live and local in downtown Greenville with the story. Liz?
Nigel and Carol, officials with the Greenville News say SLED violated South Carolina's Freedom of Information Act by withholding information from this case, including dash cam video of Zach Hammond's death. The seasons have changed since the shooting death of 19-year-old Zach Hammond outside this Seneca Hardee's. It happened July 26th, and still, dash cam video has not been released.
When you have these cases where videos are not released, there's some suspicion about, well, why? We see them.
Now, this is a Republican back in 2015. Want to know if that sentiment still holds with Mr. I don't know if he's still in office or anything like that, but this is back in 2015 from a Republican.
Released all the time. Why in this case is it not being released?
Zach's parents and 3 local newspapers have filed lawsuits against SLED, saying the agency is violating the law by not making records public. SLED completed its investigation into Zach's shooting death a month ago.
We implore you to push for the release of all the video.
So why the wait? Solicitor Chrissy Adams says some evidence still needs to be processed.
It may very well turn out in the end that there was a very legitimate reason. We won't know until we get to that point.
Senator Larry Martin.
This is the thing. Somebody said this on Twitter, and I've seen this like for years. Somebody white and liberal said something like, they're not going to care until they start killing white kids. I'm like, they're killing white kids. Somebody said the cops kill white kids too. Like, they killing y'all too. And it's not being like, unnecessarily, glib about it, but that's the whole thing. Like, people think that, oh, well, it's impacting black people, or this thing with cops is only impacting black and brown kids. It's only the Adam Toledos and the Jason Coopers. It's not Billy Smith and, Brandon White, right? Just using really generic names. No, they're killing with impunity. They're killing the white woman in Minneapolis, right? Minnesota, that was in the alley. What about that white woman that was killed? Let's bring it back local. Let's always try to bring it back local. What about the white man in Mount Pleasant that y'all put me up on? His death. Now, SLED said, nope, nothing was wrong. Everything was okay. Like they're killing white people too. But this is the thing. Like we don't stand up. We don't see these things. They're not framed as justice issues or civil rights issues. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent about how, how and when white people will start caring about it. You shouldn't have to see videos of you getting murdered, it shouldn't take all of that. It should be evident, like, for people to just fight. But the misconception is this is only happening to black people. No, they killing. And if they're not killing white people with guns, they killing them with cars, with high-speed chases. That's the other part of my search last night that went far left. I'm like, damn, they do a lot of high-speed chases that result in fatalities. Like cops have this thing where they're able to take lives or impact lives or injure lives with impunity, and no one holds them to account because of this perception we have of what law enforcement is or what public safety is, right? It's just really interesting. So that was I'm trying to just...
is working on a bill that would require law enforcement agencies to get approval from a judge to withhold video evidence for longer than 15 days. Okay,
so that's interesting. If you remember too from the audit, I don't know where that legislation went. I don't know if that worked into any of the current legislation that's in place. I don't know, right? But if you remember the audit, the Charleston Police Department audit, part of my gripe with what they found was that there wasn't they never retained footage. So if they did have dash cam, right? If they did have video, they was like destroying that shit. And so they were not retaining it. There was no retention mechanism at all. So when you would go back, I'm assuming, and I would have to ask someone like a Stephen Bowden, when you would go back and be like, yo, let's see the tape from this incident that happened, 2 years ago. Oh, we ain't got it. Like a fucking convenience store that says that like a convenience store from like 1999 that recycles a VHS tape. We ain't got it. We taped over it. Right? So if you go back to the audit and the findings, right, even though it was an audit done by cops on cops, you'll find that they did not retain video. And it's allegedly, supposedly, Wendy Shriver, her pizza tracker, and Chief Reynolds said that they rectified that, right? We'll see if they rectified it. Justin, you said it's certainly a similar narrative that is fed as part of othering across race and class. Absolutely. Evelyn, all right, you said, I wonder if that, that's what you responded to, Justin. I wonder if that feeds into the lone wolf mental illness, thing about white people. Like, don't worry, he was crazy, right? It won't happen to you. Absolutely. And then Justin, I think Yes, thank you. And Shady Me, but thank you so much for telling me more about Zach Hammond. The name rings a bell, very, very, very vaguely though. But if it happened around Mother Emanuel, I could see that story getting sucked up. I'm definitely going to check into that Zach Hammond story for sure, right? All right, I'm going to move on. Because again, this was like it was like an onslaught yesterday. I'm on the phone with reporters. I'm going through... I hopped on Twitch real quick to talk about the history of policing yesterday. Go back and watch that. You can go back on YouTube, or you can go on, it should be on Twitch. They don't stay there forever, but they should be on Twitch. All right, so this story was written in 2018 by Radley Balco. I'm going to increase this real quick. All right, so how do I get this down? Because like if I click on it, it's going to, this is so... Oh, yeah. Use your library card, y'all. All right. Oh, I don't even have access to the whole story. That's fine. That's fine. That's what they did it for. All right. So back in 2015, I wrote a four-part, not a five-part, a four-part series on policing in South Carolina. One of the central themes of the series was state police agency called the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, right? This is generally considered to be the most elite police agency in the state. Its participants in drug investigation, corruption investigations, and perhaps most importantly, when there are officer-involved shootings, it is SLED that comes to investigate, right? So it says this is true in all of the state except Richland County. Did not know that. What do you mean? What do they mean? What? I gotta look into that. Jeez. All right. So there was another link that I have here. This is from Greenville News as well. This is from last year, June 17, 2020. Some police shootings in South Carolina aren't captured on body camera. Here's why. In shootings since 2017, Greenville deputies were never reprimanded for failing to use their body cameras, cameras that cost taxpayers $168. This is the problem. This is what should get people up and like rowdy. Taxpayers paying $168,000 for shit that they won't even give us access to. Why are we paying for it then? Why isn't it coming out your salary? If you want to be keeper of the footage, why isn't it coming out of your salary? Right? Your situation, your pension shit, whatever the fuck is, however it's set up in this state, in these areas, right? All right, let me blow this up a little bit. Of course, I put a light, like as if you can see like this glow. I was trying to figure out some lighting to try to mimic some daylight. And of course, I put the light right by the monitor. So it's blinding the shit out of me. So like I'm trying to like, look, see, it's right there. Gosh, great job, Mika. I always want to try something new before I go live. Like, yeah, why not? All right. All right. Let's keep reading. It's not funny, but it's just, I can't see. All right. Not funny. Switch gears. All right. After Dick Tinch was shot inside his home by a Greenville County Sheriff's deputy on June 14th, the agency said the deputy fired after Tinch opened his front door and pointed his weapon. But 45 days later, when the sheriff's office released the body camera footage as part of its new community briefing protocols, the recorded evidence revealed the initial account was inaccurate. Just say they lied. It wasn't inaccurate. They lied. This is what they did with Adam Toledo, too. After the news wrote about the discrepancy, the sheriff's office explained it was a case of miscommunication. They lied. All right. So this is Paul Guy speaks during a press conference about the shooting death of her husband. What? How did I say? Paul Guy speaks during a press conference about the shooting death of her husband, Jermaine Mass. That doesn't make sense. Her name ain't Paul. All right. Anyway, so that's the widow, I believe. That's the Representative Paul Guy, I believe. Okay. All right. This case is a vivid example of why body camera use is critical to accountability in the use of force cases, right? Paradoxically, when South Carolina legislature passed the law in 2015 to require law enforcement agencies to use body cameras, the state moved a step away from transparency. Again, that word. They like to use it, but we have none. It doesn't really exist here, right? All right. Although agencies were required to use the devices, the state provided no funding. Remember, Fleming's reporting stated this as well. Although the agencies are required to use the devices, the state provided no funding for them. The legislature also exempted body camera footage from public disclosure through the state's Freedom of Information Act. Agencies would have body cameras if they could afford them. So this is one thing Fleming told me yesterday on the phone as well. Not all agencies have them because they don't have the money for them, right? So I didn't know that. I thought it was uniform that all these police agencies had them, right? But the public would be able to view them, but the public would be able to view the video on the agency's terms, if at all. And that's something that Fleming reiterated, that they could release body footage, but they more than likely would not. Community activists say the law is ineffective and are calling on lawmakers to mandate that body cameras footage be accessible to the public. Now it's time to amend the body camera law so footage is not excluded from FOIA. Okay, so this is again more reporting. This was last year. Cops lied and said the man came and opened the door and had a weapon in his hand. Then they saw body camera footage and said, "Nah, that wasn't the case." This is the thing. This is why we have to have cameras. We have to have cameras on the police. This is what I was trying to say earlier about my feelings on body camera legislation, and a lot of activists who are committed to this singular issue of police accountability. They mentioned this as well years ago. I've heard this in multiple conversations We need more cameras on the police. Without a Faden Santana, we would not have justice for Walter Scott. Shit, we damn near don't have it now. This dude is appealing and, appealing his civil rights violation conviction, right? But we need to be filming the police, and there needs to be laws that make sure that people who film the police are going to be protected, because a lot of times police like to threaten you and telling you can't film them and all that. That's not true. That's not, no. So we unfortunately we need Ring doorbell footage, and we need cameras on our porches, and we need dash cams in our cars, and we need shit we need things, our camera phones at the ready to make sure to protect ourselves from the false narratives and the outright lies that our local law enforcement and our SLED, our elite police, the false narratives and the outright blatant lies. We have to protect ourselves by arming ourselves with our own body cams. I mean, literally, like, it feels like we have to do that. All right, this is from the Herald. This was reported. This is what Katie sent me. She sent me this in December, but she referenced this story. This was a police body cam video from a Chester shooting, right? So body cam video, Chester police released video of black suspect shot by officers. All right. I'm over it, y'all. I'm so over it. Sorry about that. Let me read a little bit here. It says the Chester Police Department has released officer body cam that shows a fatal shooting of black suspect outside of a Walmart in November. Okay, here we go. Trigger. It's no volume. Hold on. Oh, tell the sneeze. No volume, but I do want to just warn you that this probably contains graphic imagery. All right, so let's go. There's no volume, apparently. So this is the Walmart outside of a Walmart in Chester. Video at half speed and enlarged. I don't see the suspect. Y'all see the suspect? Is that the suspect over here? I think right there in the middle. Now, what is he suspected of doing? Okay, he's walking toward the police and he's shot. And right here, I think with this story, I believe the conversation Katie and I were having was about SLED's follow-up to this. This is crazy. Oh my God.
Homeowners, this incredible tip is just for you. If you
Okay. That was pretty graphic. Let me read the story. I don't watch those things easily, right? At all. And I don't like showing black death on public, on social media. But let's go. The Chester Police Department released an officer body cam video that shows a fatal shooting of a black suspect outside of Walmart in last November. Again, this story is from the year 20. This is last year? Wow, this is last year. This is June. All right. The video released to the Herald Friday morning shows officer with his gun drawn approaching the suspect. The video also shows the shooting and the officer later removing a gun from the suspect's body. There are also enhanced photos that show the gun in the suspect's position. Doesn't justify why he was shot and killed, or shot. It says Arian McCree, who was handcuffed with his hand behind his back at the time of the shooting, died November 23rd. Died in the November 23rd incident. Let me look at the chat. Yeah, I know the doorbell cams. Yeah. But there has to be something we can do, some sort of like cameras that we could use, that we could set up, that we can network in our homes. It don't have to be Ring or anything like that. I'm looking at the chat right quick. Yeah. He was stealing. This was your brother's cousin? Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm kind of jumping into the chat right now. Has anyone introduced legislation to protect people? Courtney, I don't know who filmed. I don't know if that's been introduced at all. Wow. Yeah. Sorry for missing some of the chat. I wanted to, so he died November 3rd, 23rd. The Herald showing only a limited segment of the video to omit some more graphic scenes. The body cam video has no audio, which is a problem, right? We don't know what commands were yelled. We don't know what was said. That's a problem. According to SLED and the South Carolina Attorney General's office, McCree had a gun and charged at the police while in handcuffs. So wait, he was apprehending him? Huh? That's probably why they released the body cam footage. So we were just watching it, right? And the guy was walking toward the police. He was handcuffed and he had a gun and he was going to shoot. He was able to get his gun, get access to it. I'm trying to let me read that one more time. The Herald is showing limited. According to SLED and South Carolina Attorney General's office, McCree had a gun and charged at police while in handcuffs. Yeah, I'm gonna move on. That's bananas. All right, so I'm gonna close that out. I can't even wrap my mind around that real quick. Okay. There was some, what time is it? It's almost 8:30, but I'm gonna keep rocking while he's on Mars. All right. Let's see here. So this was, no, that's accreditation. There was something I wanted to, there was a protest. Let me see if there was anything here. No, this was just like a really, this is like the recruitment video. It's all SLED, it's all CSI and shit and SWAT. It's like all those CBS cop procedural shows.
We're often asked, what does SLED stand for? While the initial...
I got a couple of suggestions of what it stands for. All right. So I think there was another Washington Post article, though, I think. I'm going to use my library card to see if I can get access to this whole story. But there was something else I can't recall. But I wanted to have a conversation about this law enforcement agency and why we won't see justice. I want to, I guess, pivot to check out what's this? I'm looking at y'all chat. I'm sorry. All right, I can't keep up. All right, but I want to pivot to the events of this past weekend. I asked it earlier, but if there's anyone still watching, did y'all participate? Did y'all participate in any of the protests this weekend? Anyone? Just drop it in the chat as I continue talking. I saw this. I saw some. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. Yep. So, I wanted to. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of revisit some of the clips from the protest this weekend. So let's play this real quick.
Today, the former Minnesota police officer Derek Chauvin awaiting a verdict from the jury in the death of George Floyd. The tension being felt across the nation and even here in the Low Country. News 2's Kate Prestak joining us live in downtown Charleston this morning. Kate, a peaceful protest last night.
Anybody
That's
go?
Right, Brad, over 100 people joined in last night to join as one and say they're tired and they are hurting. Now, this protest began here at the Daughters of Confederacy and ended up at the U.S. Custom House. The organizations leading the effort say this protest was about more than just the death of George Floyd or Daunte Wright. It's about the treatment even here in the Low Country. At one point, demonstrators came face to face with police in riot gear on King Street and told them they were not allowed to demonstrate.
We had already informed the officers that we were going to keep this peaceful. There was a time that we were chanting, peaceful protest is our legal right. And we were saying that. And they came out with bats and riot gear. And it's the issue that we're protesting against.
According to the Charleston Police Department, they say no permit was issued for the event or for the vigil. They say that they want to be a positive asset for the community. We're now live in downtown Charleston. I'm Kate Prestak.
Shout out, Kate. Let's go to another clip.
Express, what are we gonna do about it, like in our own communities too. So just like reverting like that attention and that energy.
Anybody go? No one's saying they went. Anybody, Courtney, if you're still watching, anybody in the Midlands, y'all go to a protest this weekend?
Do you feel like today was successful with seeing the turnout and just how it went by? Just kind of
the turnout, the people there. There's a lot of people who had joined just from us, marching. It was like came on, was like, oh, I didn't even know y'all doing this, but I heard y'all doing it, and like I love y'all's message. That y'all are still out here, so I think it went great. A good message was got across. There was some cops that, as always, tried to brutalize us, had bats out. When we were just marching peacefully on the streets and on the sidewalks when they wanted to, and it was very disheartening to see them again.
Yeah, I'm glad that it was peaceful. Largely, I did hop over to Facebook and I caught a peek of Justin's Facebook Live. I didn't watch it live, but I saw it later. Justin Hunt, that's who was there with Stand As One. You said the state has to tell you when and how to protest against. Yeah, I know. Right, I know. I saw Justin's footage. I saw they were out to the point where it was dark and their live stream was a little hard to watch in terms of you couldn't see. It was just dark. But yeah, I saw a lot of protests, about 100. They say 100. So I'm going to take them at their word. I'm happy that it was safe. And, sad to see militarized police force out there with SWAT gear. That response, I think, is gratuitous and it's over the top. This is where I'm going to offer the critique. Y'all got to get the messaging together. This is not hating. Y'all have to get the messaging together. You have to get some of those silly girls off of your megaphones. You have to get those silly girls off of your megaphones, right? I don't care if that's your boo, you're this, you're that. I ain't assuming that. Let me stop. But you got to keep some of them silly girls, especially the silly white girls. You got to keep them off your bullhorns. I felt like that was, but also the critique is, I just ran through, countless South Carolina and Low Country specific cases where we have yet to get justice for folks either shot and killed by law enforcement, and to not center it in the injustices that occur here, not to hold the sheriff accountable on camera, to not hold Chief Reynolds accountable on camera when you had an opportunity, was a missed opportunity. Now, I don't know if they cut it out or anything like that, but this is not just about the event of protesting, right? It's about leveraging these moments, right? Once you've got, this is largely to get attention, to garner attention. Once you've got folks wrapped attention, what do you do with it? You don't want more and more attention for the actual protest. You want outcomes to change eventually. This is why I've withdrawn from demonstrations in Charleston, is because no one's really making concerted effort to work toward outcomes in a organized fashion, right? So this is not a critique. This is not a criticism of the people. This is not a criticism of young organizers who are literally out here doing what they have to do, doing what I want them to do, doing what I need them to do to call attention to these injustices. But to not make this specific, to not get the messaging down, I don't know what it is. And I literally go live, and I said this last week, I want y'all to plagiarize me. I want you to copy and paste me. I'm giving you permission. I don't want to meet no more. I don't want to do that. I don't like how black women are used for your bailouts, and black women are used for a lot of other things. I prefer, like, this is what I'm choosing to do, because those spaces just aren't for me. I'm also 40 years old and just at a different station in my life, right? Not to say that I'm too old for protests, not saying that, but for this it just feels like where I was 5 years ago, where I was 4 years ago in terms of the scene here in Charleston. So I'd love to see more of a concerted effort that takes, okay, you've got the attention. When that camera is in front of you, when that mic is there, they want you to talk about the police, right? They want you to talk about, they're steering you, they're asking you questions that help them with their story. So don't do their job for them. Reorient the focus. You'll get to the riot gear, the batons. You'll get to that. You'll get to the zip ties and all of that. You'll get to the shields and the militarized vehicles, the armored vehicles. You can get to that, right? But you've got a moment to hold the powers that be accountable and to shape a narrative, right? Right? And also to say the name. If you're saying Dante Wright more than you're saying Jason Cooper, more than you're saying Jamal Sutherland, if folks walk out that protest and don't know who those two people are, then to me, that's a missed opportunity, if that makes sense. And I really welcome any DMs or rebuttals to that statement. Surely I didn't see the whole thing. Let me know if I'm off. Like, y'all don't just watch me. Just let me know in the chat. Am I off? Am I too harsh? Am I get off my lawn lady? And I'm reserving the right to be that because I'm reserving the right to do that because I know people don't think I was out there, but I've been out there, right? And I've paid my dues in more ways than one, right? So I'm reserving the right to articulate that, but I do commend the young organizers for going out, for organizing this effort. But you gotta center the issues here. What are you fighting for here? And I believe Justin mentioned in his live stream that he's from Columbia. So Justin, the challenge is now that Justin, while you're reaching out and you're building coalitions across the state, when you're in Charleston, how do you center Charleston, Justin, right? How do you center these issues? How do you become more in tune with these issues? And he does work in partnership with Marcus, I guess, and other people that I'm in community with. So that's great. But how do we center the issues here, right? How do we talk about justice here? How do we talk about transparency? Why aren't we not lifting up the Slager appeal right now, right? Why are we not lifting up shit? Dylan Roof is appealing shit right now, right? Like, there are things like, I mean, I know that's not a cop killing, a shooting, whatever, but there's things you could lift up in terms of justice for black people. I think in that moment, that shows you like, okay, this criminal justice system, will it work for us? You know, are we sitting on the edge of our seats right now? We'll talk about the body camera issue, talk about transparency, talk about FOIA requests that are not met. No one's saying anything in the chat. I get so frustrated lately with that. I'm sorry. All right. But yeah, I just wanted to get some feedback. But yeah, that's it. So yeah. No, I know you're here. I just any thoughts on the protests? I know you're there. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I guess I asked the question. So what did y'all participate? Why didn't you participate? I guess is a more pointed way of saying it. Yeah, I don't know. Do you see protests as a means to affect change? This is the challenge. This is the challenge. Did you watch the news last night and see the protests? Did it move you to do anything? I don't know. Why do they put 5-second videos up here like this? Why do they do this? What was that? I don't know who runs their social media page, but I know all that's going to be, the Overton report is probably all over it. But yeah, that's it. All right. Well, it's hard to protest when there isn't any direction. It really is, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. But hopefully people will do something with some of the information I dispensed today. Hopefully, folks will be spurring into action to talk about have this conversation about SLED's involvement in certain investigations. And thank you, Shady Me, but you didn't have to. Thank you. But hopefully, folks will have this conversation about body camera footage, and folks will press for more transparency. There should be a releasing of footage. We should know more about the Jamal Sutherland death. We should learn more about the Jason Cooper death. The dash cam footage, from what I understand, according to Fleming, the dash cam footage is still something that's an attainable goal. Courtney, you said you were home, right? You went home in Greenville, but you said not home, but you know what I mean. You said you didn't know anything about what was happening in Cola, but my issue is what I've seen lately is that there isn't there isn't a CTA. What do you define CTA in this context? Oh yeah, definitely. What's next? There's never any. It's just like we get out and we rally. And remember, Jasmine said this too. Jazz said this too. Like, she really wished that they were able to get on the same page and have messaging, right? To have cohesive messaging around the going out to the racist soldier's house, right? She wished that there was more. Thank you so much for the subscription, though, Shady Me. But just want to say that. But no, yeah. I guess everything's everything. But yeah, I'll be participating in a bunch of other stuff outside the state to have these conversations. Shout out to some things coming up. Hopefully I'll be organizing or call to action. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much, Courtney. I'm gonna make sure there is no call to action. There is no call to action. And you know what? I cut it off. No, wait, hold up. I cut it off, I think, before Justin and Marcus could finish saying what they had to say.
Express, how we're gonna.
Okay.
We had no weapons or any type of violent things happening.
Let me play this and I'm gonna hop off.
And just being brutalized and just doing exactly what what we've been saying they're doing, just being a police.
We were protesting again.
Exactly, just being over militarized. Like we had no weapons or any type of violent things happening. They came up.
Yeah, like whoa. This is important. We got names here though.
Full bodysuits and riot gear, So it's been a similar response that we've seen last summer.
Not gonna stop until they begin to open a form of communication of real change. We meet with the police chiefs, we meet with the sheriff, we meet with city council members, but until real change is put into action, no, the protests will not stop. And that's not.
So my question is, like, when you meet, what are we meeting for? What are we meeting for? You don't need to meet until you start having some formalized demands, right? And also, too, you need some coalition building, too. So when you come to the table, you have some influence there, whether it's a constituency, whether it's an organization that has some sort of political heft, right? So when you're meeting with them, you can't just go with fervor and enthusiasm. You're going ultimately because you have leverage as well, right? And to me, I already told y'all the leverage. From a young organizer's perspective. Shout out to Miss Minerva King. I'm gonna pull up a picture just for the hell of it. Okay, wait, hold on.
Confuse the narrative. Again, we protested today, over 100 people. No one got hurt.
Shout out to them for keeping it safe.
No one got assaulted. That's not our goal. Our goal is to express ourselves. Our goal is to.
And that's where I hopped off. All right. So, okay. Shout out to, all right. That ain't the goal, though. I love y'all, but that ain't the goal. I just want to have her picture up real quick. See how it bounces to Bing? Jesus. This is the best we can do because it's Bing. Thanks, Bing. it won't now. Every time I Google something, it goes to Bing, and Bing is the shitty search engine. I don't know why it does that. But shout out to Minerva King, civil rights icon. Damn. I don't know. Wow. This is the worst search engine in the world. Okay. Still horrible. This is horrible. Shout out to her. And she said this before, and I'm gonna hop off. She said this before, you know, what young people have, and she demonstrated this as being part of the faction of kids that sat at the, oh my God. Okay, I'm over it. I'm trying to pull it up, but I'm on Bing. So, and yeah, I don't have a clue why this is doing this. Okay. I did check my settings. I had to do, and I did that. I switched my default browser. It's some kind of update. Thank you so much. I'm gonna do it again. I went into that and all that, and it's just it's some crazy update this morning where they try to get me to do all this Microsoft Edge shit, and I must have clicked yes to something, but this is horrible. This is like hell. Bing is the worst. That's why no one uses it. But anyway, shout out to Minerva King. I switched the camera only. You know, she talks about how young people have the one thing. She said this during a panel that I participated on. She was one of the co-panelists. It was for St. John's High School this a couple months ago, and she was like, young people don't have something that she has, a mortgage, right? So she was saying that you're at an age and stage right now where there's certain sacrifices you can make, there's certain risks you can take being a young person, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So I think this is a time now to really challenge these systems and these institutions, but you have to know that you will encounter, it will be a risk, right? So when those black kids clasped arms and sat in at the Crest counter on King Street to protest against the segregation laws, in Charleston and South Carolina, you know, they ran the risk of being spat on. They ran the risk of being brutalized, discriminated on, having hot food poured on them, ammonia and bleach, whatever, poured in front of them on the countertop. There are certain risks, risk from either maybe losing position in the community, perhaps access to certain schooling, all of that. And I think that this younger faction of organizers needs to understand that risk that comes with that, and be prepared to contend with that. And I think with that being said, right, Bing is terrible. I think with that being said, you know, there needs to be the leverage. You know what the city just showed you what they need to protect. So the police response to unarmed protesters this weekend is a direct response to the business owning class, the CVB and other large stakeholders, very moneyed, very wealthy stakeholders who put both the mayor and Chief Reynolds on notice that if any of their businesses are subject to protests, right, there'd be repercussions. There'd be big repercussions, right? So that police response, definitely, I know they anticipated. I know BLM and Standards One anticipated that. That being said, that also shows you where it shows you where their interest lies, right? So be strategic in that. Be strategic in how you mount your protests. Be strategic in how you organize. You know what they hold most precious. Don't always tip your hand, right? If you're out there without a permit, you know, don't always tip your hand. I know it's hard to organize without a flyer, without digital assets, right? And other cities did the same thing that our local BLM did. So they didn't do anything wrong in terms of how they promoted it. I do think I do think there were some other things that could have been done, but I just sound like a shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm glad folks were safe. I'm glad folks exercised their right to protest. I'm glad both Justin and Marcus were able to have the response they did. I really wish they would center Charleston issues. I really wish they would center Charleston issues. I really wish they would start centering Charleston issues, and I really wish they would center Charleston issues. You have extrajudicial killings here that are not nowhere near a year old. You've got lack of police transparency here. You have lack of follow through on the audit and the reforms that the audit said that they would follow through on. You have that here. And we're not mobilized to really respond to that. And I don't know what the hesitancy is around that. Evelyn, you said I just watched the Children's March on Vimeo for school. You talking about the March for Our Lives? Or what's the Children's March? No, what is that? Yeah, is it white lead? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Ooh. You always on Vimeo. I love it. All right, I'm gonna check. We're gonna have to check that out. We might have to. Yes. Oh, thank you for donating. Oh, somebody just donated. Oh, thank you. If you did, I think that is what that is. Thank you. But yeah, thank you, Evelyn. Let me see if I can copy it. It's so hard to copy links. Oh, there you go. Just click on it. Thank you. We'll be watching this. I'm gonna hop off though so I can do my job today. Thank you for the subscribe. Y'all doing that on purpose? Like, y'all so sweet. I appreciate you. All right, but yeah, we just need strategy, y'all. I really appreciate y'all watching this live stream. Please go back and watch it. Share it with some folks, please. If you're on Instagram, help me get unshadow banned, please. Like my content whenever I do decide to post. Like it. Hit save if you can. I do that with Evelyn. I be saving your shit. I be trying. What is that? Okay, this is just fake. Okay, now this is fake. Donated $1,000, $100, $1 million. What the hell? This is so stupid. All right, that ain't no donation. Let me get this person blocked. It's so stupid. Sometimes I hate Twitch. All right, let's blickety block. And okay. It's so stupid. All right, cool. That was crazy. All right. So, thank you so much, y'all. Support the content. Make sure you touch base with the organizers of this protest to see if they have any needs that need to be met. Make sure that, they have anything that they spent money on, whatever. Just take care of them. Make sure that they, whatever. Please tell people to plagiarize me. Please. I don't know. Maybe what I'm saying don't mean nothing. I don't know. All right, y'all take care. I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. sharp.